You guys, I have no idea what's up with my ring light, but like the thing does not screw on. It's like so crooked. Oh my god, I have no idea like how to fix it. But in the case of the angles and the clips in this video are like really weird, that's why. Okay, so I haven't even finished reading this book yet, but I have to make a video on this because like I've been off the past 3 days of work and I've just been reading this. I'm halfway through it. It's You Are Becoming a Galactic Human by Virginia Essene and Sheldon Nidle. That's what it looks like. It's super hard to find. It's super rare. Like when I got it from Amazon, it was like $50 and it goes for $11. So it just like, they probably don't print it anymore or something like that. So there's a lot to discuss. I've only read half of it, so this is gonna be a 2-part video, and there's a lot of information to uncover. It's very similar to DNA in the Sands of Time, but it's also very different. Why did it just get darker? No idea. Okay, so once again, I'm reading from my notes that I took while reading the book, and I'm also gonna read, basically these notes are like just the book. It's not me actually like commenting on it. It's just like stuff from the actual book that I thought was very appropriate to include. Okay, so at 9 years old, Sheldon Nidle was visited by 2 bluish white balls of light. It had spoken to him in a male voice and told him that they were from Sirius B and that it was here to begin his instructions. And I also want to include that this book was published like in 1994 and that these experiences did happen to him when he was younger, so like 1970s, 1980s. So that's how long ago this was. So fast forward several years, and this being was named Washta. This being was on its journey to become an ascended master for the Galactic Federation. So Sheldon found a lot of like-minded people throughout his academia and started lots of talks and discussions to, I'd say, I guess other starseeds about the message that the Galactic Federation had for the world. So the GFL, which is the Galactic Federation of Light, the GFL wanted him to send this message to people because just by people hearing this, it activates their own mission of realizing what they're here to do on Earth. Washta and other Syrian beings explain how the Earth and the Photon belt are getting closer to each other. And if the timeline is still correct, we have already entered the Photon belt, but if the timeline had changed, then I don't believe we are in it yet. Using my own intuition, oh, actually I do have commentary. This is my commentary. Using my own intuition, I actually don't think we're in the Photon belt yet, even though we're all waking up slowly. But the effects of like no power and all these other side effects have not happened yet, which leads me to believe that we haven't reached the Photon belt yet. They mention in the book that we're going to need to harness photon energy fields as our main source of electricity, and that we're no longer going to need fossil fuels and basically any of the stuff that we use now. Like it's all going to be like, what's that word? It's all going to be, I can't think of it. I think you know what I'm talking about. What is that word? It's all going to be, I can't think of it. Whatever. Okay, anyways, it's not going to be important anymore. We're not going to use it. That's what I'm trying to say. Essentially, this entrance into the Photon belt will make all of our cars and all of our technology stop working, and we'll have to use photon energy, and fossil fuels will no longer be a thing we use. Our psychic abilities will be amplified so much, and we will now be a part of the Galactic Federation openly. And if you guys remember, I think some of my other book reviews that I've done, we mentioned that one of the purposes of us ascending is so that we can finally be one with the Galactic Federation again. Because I believe we were, this book does mention that we were part of the Galactic Federation before, because the humans here on Earth were actually not the first humans. There was humans first in the Vega star system, and I think that's it. That's where humans actually originate from. That's according to this book. Yes. I was also going to say to please be aware that you need to have an open mind if you're going to continue watching this video. I do question a lot of things in this. I'm not just blindly agreeing to everything, but it's really good to think about these things. And I think it's really important for us to be knowledgeable about these other ideas, you know, other new ideas that we're not, they're new to us, but they're actually old ideas, if that makes sense. Okay, so according to Washta, the photon energy is a great energy of light that changes and alters itself and creates great openings into dimensional time portals, which is what the fourth dimension is about. So I got chills reading this, but this was also mentioned in The Ancient Secret of the Flower of Life, Volume 2. That's kind of why I got chills. But this book also mentions that our planet is inside a great light bubble, a hologram which was created in 1972 by the Syrians. It was created in response to the actions of the dark forces who altered the sun's polarity in a negative way. To protect us from this and reverse the effects, the Syrians helped us. So if you already know about that event, you'll probably get chills because it's like more validation hearing it from other sources. So Washta, if you guys missed it, I did mention that Washta is the member of the Galactic Federation that is on the path of becoming an Ascended Master that is communicating with Sheldon. That's where he's getting all this information from, as well as a couple other members from the Galactic Federation as well. They are mentioned in the beginning of every chapter, but they don't really interact as much. Washta is the main guy that relays this information to Sheldon. Okay, so Washta does mention that the entering of the photon belt should happen in 1995 and 1996, but this didn't happen, or we would have all known. That's my commentary about it. So Washta does say that we have been told that these dates have been finalized. So this is what Wash is saying. We've been told that these dates have been finalized. However, as you know, the timelines of the universe that you experience are not in specific and total finalities. Even when the finalities have been agreed upon, the Time Lords and Timekeepers as pulses of light coming from the God Source, the awesome force of all creation, can be changed. For they, and they alone, know the finalities that are to exist as this great creation unfolds. Okay. The second that this book mentioned the title Time Lords, it also mentions the title Timekeepers. I'm not sure if those two are interchangeable, but I'm pretty sure they are. They are basically the ones that are like right underneath God and Source, and I believe they can also be called creator sons or creator beings. I'm not sure if that's the same beings or not, but I immediately thought of Loki, and I'm like, this is crazy. Like WandaVision, if you guys watch Disney Plus shows and are in touch with Marvel, I'm obsessed with Marvel. Like WandaVision and Loki, all of these shows like really reflect our multiverse, like how it is, especially the whole concept of the multiverse. Like there's so much proof of the multiverse with like quantum physics and like quantum mechanics and stuff like that. Yet people will not like deem it as like a valuable or reliable source, whatever. It's dumb. I think it's like so like close-minded of people to just discount everything. But like, why do you think all these superhero things have such an impact on people? Like, why do you think people are so drawn to it? Not just because it's entertainment. Like, there's something deeper down there. Like, people don't, I don't know why people don't put two and two together. But the GFL will be arriving to Earth in a mass landing 6 months before we enter the photon belt, and they will be helping us with our psychic abilities and everything else, because we are going to need all of their help to be guided through this process. I did want to say that I am just giving you guys snippets of information. If stuff doesn't make sense, like, please read the book, because this book is actually very dense. Like, I've been reading it for the past like week and a half, and I'm only like halfway through it, and it's a pretty small book. It's like 250 pages, I think. Literally, like, it's so full of information. Like, even I'm getting lost at a lot of stuff, especially with the whole civilization stuff and like the galactic wars that were going on. It's just like a lot of densely packed information. So I mean, read it however you want. You can read it in a day if you want, but your brain's probably going to be fried. So Washta also said, you are moving from a third-dimensional physical reality to a fifth-dimensional semi-ethereal reality. You are moving into a world in which all minds share a common consciousness, and human beings no longer have the kind of separate world that you presently have. You're also moving to a consciousness where things can be done by humans that would, at present, be considered miraculous. Therefore, every Earth human must understand what his or her capabilities are and what his or her realities mean. Okay, so now we're going to skip to when the Sumerians attacked Lemuria. This is another one of the parts where it's like so much information. Like, I didn't want to fry your brain with it, because to me it's confusing. Here's the thing, like, I'm not going to relay information to you guys that I find confusing. Very rarely will I do that. I think I've done very little bit of that with the Convoluted Universe or any other books, but to be honest, I'm not going to give you guys information that I find confusing, because to me that doesn't make sense. Like, why would I do that? I'm only going to give you guys information that I either feel the need to share with you, or feel the need, or like truly understand what it is. And surprisingly, I do understand a lot of this stuff. Like I said, the reason why is probably because I'm familiar with it from past lives. There's no other way to explain it. Like, I don't think you could logically explain that. Okay, so yeah, so we're skipping to when the Sumerians attacked Lemuria. The elite of these warring empires decided to attack the crystal temples. So these temples kept the firmament in place above the surface of the earth. So the destruction of this crystalline network led to the falling of millions of gallons of water from the sky, historically and biblically referred to as the Great Flood. The firmament was a huge crystalline shield of water situated at two positions, one higher than the other. Both of these layers aided the planet by providing it with a very well constructed and life-giving atmosphere. If the firmament were to fall, the atmosphere would open up. This situation would allow dangerous radiations to penetrate to the Earth's surface and permit unstable air masses, which you now call weather, or a very diverse climate to occur. And back in the time of the firmament, there was no rain, there was very little wind, and the seasons did not really exist. This huge hole in the atmosphere destroyed the Rama Empire, the Egyptian Empire, and the Sumerian Empire all in one strike. The firmament was originally constructed by the initial etheric civilization that came to Earth about 35 million years ago. This was done to protect the planet from the radiation of the sun and other dangerous cosmic radiations that regularly come through our particular solar system. This firmament was maintained, broken, and re-established many times as different civilizations and invasions came. After the firmament's collapse, radiation eventually shrunk the physical size of humans and gradually limited the length of their lifespan. So we were originally, the book mentions that we were originally like 10 feet tall. Very, 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 very reflective of the Anunnaki. And this hole in the where is it called, the firmament, this hole in the firmament created, we're going to talk about it later, but the changing of race colors, skin colors. So this is what the firmament looked like. Let's see if I can show you. Do you see the layers? And then all those crystal towers. Screenshot that. Okay. So moving on. Because of what occurred after the destruction of Atlantis, the Bermuda Triangle became an interdimensional portal. So many groups that go from one dimension to another have utilized this triangle for that particular purpose of transportation and communication. When the triangle is activated, it then causes an interdimensional portal to open. Any objects inside the triangle where the communication point is based will then experience this portal effect, so that they will either disappear or be moved to another dimensional space and time. So Washta says this particular galaxy was told that there would be a powerful darkness that would nearly conquer this galaxy, but then light would begin shining in the darkness and would illuminate it and eventually bring it to an end. This is the balance of free will that you and we are all learning. So Virginia says, are you saying that God, or the original creative force, believes that only pain and suffering can achieve the light? And then Washta says, no, but this galaxy had established certain patterns in it that would allow for this particular system in spiritual and physical evolution to occur. Believe me when I relate that this galaxy is a very unique galaxy. It is one that will eventually achieve an incredible light. It therefore must have both light and darkness in it. These two energies together make it possible what will eventually be the glorious joining of light and dark, and that is the final purpose this galaxy represents. That gave me full body chills when I read that, and I'm like, I have to let you guys know that. This is so similar to what Elizabeth April talks about, how you cannot be a master of this matrix reality if you are focused on one side. You cannot just be all light, and you cannot just be all dark and like conspiracy or whatever stuff. Like, you have to know the dark in order to know the light, and you have to know the light in order to know the dark. It is all about the balance, and I truly 100% believe that. Even though I tend to obviously feel more comfortable being in light, energetic areas, it is very important to be educated in the darkness and be aware of that. But like I say in all my videos, it is important to not go down the rabbit hole of the conspiracy theories or the dark agendas, because you are literally doing the work for them, and you're literally are just, what's the word, perpetuating the system. Like, you're just continuing what they want you to do. Like the fear, just like all the fear, you're in a fear vibration. But it's good to recognize what that fear vibration is like, so that you know when you're being targeted by like beings like that. Does that make sense? So Virginia asks, is the story of Noah having just few survivors correct? And Washta answers with, since there were very few survivors out of the total population, and these remnants were widely scattered around the planet, they could not communicate with each other. So the result was that the flood stories remained in the immediate areas where the survivors settled. And because Noah was from ancient Egyptian Libyan civilization, his story influenced the Middle East, from which came the Bible story. So in the case of Hinduism, it has remnants of the great histories of Atlantis and Lemuria as its core. Following the flood, this was then transmuted into a multi-god and goddess system. Buddha was given to you through the Arcturians, and he came to this region to bring a great transformation of love and light. For a time, his experiment was successful. However, as later happened in Christianity, it was mutated into a formal concept of religion, whereupon many of Buddha's original precepts were not followed. The same process, unfortunately, occurred for Muhammad when he brought to Islam a great concept for change, transformation, and many aspects of love and light. when the concepts of these three just mentioned religious philosophies are blended with the religions and prophecies of awakened indigenous peoples, they can serve as the underpinning of the web of consciousness that is now forming around your planet. So Virginia asks, in the 3 chapters dedicated to Earth history, one thing that hasn't been discussed is why we have so many races and different skin colors. And Washta says, these races represent a variety of different galactic humans who exist through this entire federation and galaxy. As humans evolved, they developed many different skin colorations when they moved across the galaxy, evolving into one race and then the other. For instance, the so-called black race on your planet originally was a blue race. However, it was transmuted into a black race when Earth lost its firmament and the atmosphere allowed the sun's more dangerous radiation to cause a mutation in the skin of the blue race that turned it into a darker hue. Those that represent the energy patterns that are today called the red, brown, or the yellow races came from Andromeda and the Pleiadian systems. They represent the mutations that occurred in various suns in those star systems and those star leagues. This is the uniqueness of your planet. You have the various races and realities that are the sum total of the many humans in this galaxy. And then Virginia is asking where the white from. And Washta says the white are from Sirius and various other star systems such as the Pleiades and the original Vega system. And so Virginia says, how does origin relate to skin color? And Washta says, originally it did not. However, the transmutations of limited consciousness produced racial characteristics on your planet, which in many ways are unique to it and not the same as on other planets with human civilizations. For you will find that there are blue Syrians that have steel blue or very green eyes, or they may have blonde or steel blue hair. This does not occur to blacks on Earth unless there is a mixing with different racial types that exist on your planet. That is why your planet is unique. Virginia asks, could you further clarify how the genetics intermingle? There has been a belief by some people that we shouldn't be trying to intermingle different color races together because they wouldn't genetically combine. Is this true? The Washta says, this is erroneous because all humans possess the same genetics. The difference comes with skin color, eye color, and other characteristics of racial types that have developed uniquely on your planet. Intelligence and other important concepts of consciousness are the same for all humans that exist on your planet. Therefore, to suggest that mixing these unique races of humans together is erroneous is in itself a false concept. So Virginia says, for instance, can someone who is an Earth galactic human and someone who is a galactic human from Sirius, the Pleiades, or other places mate? Are sexual relationships for the purpose of having a child possible? And Washta says that yes, it is indeed possible. And Virginia asks if it's happened on this planet. Washta says it has happened on the planet before. And she asks if it's happening now. And Washta says from time to time it's happening on your planet. And Virginia says, has this happened because of extraterrestrial landings or from contact with what we call the Shambhala Earth people, which are the people underground? And Washta says, many humans on your planet have the experience of having relationships with those from other worlds. They had these relationships with galactic humans from other parts of this galaxy because they had an energy of closeness with them, and it was allowed that they would have children with them. This has happened in various places on your planet. It has happened in parts of the United States, South America, South Africa, and other places such as Australia. Since the fall of Atlantis, it has primarily occurred in modern times since the beginning of the 19th century. Virginia asks, since the 1940s, have the Zeta Grays conducted genetic experiments with humans in order to produce a new race? Do they have genetic compatibility with humans? And Washta says, yes, they have conducted experiments, but they do not have compatibility with humans. What they have done in their genetic engineering is to take parts of the genetic code of humans and then create a new cellular structure. And I don't know about you, but this is giving me very much Mr. Sinister vibes if you're into Marvel. They have combined their DNA structure with that of humans or cows or any other life form that will combine with their own DNA. So by producing a new cellular structure and then having that cellular structure reproduce itself, a unique organism is created. This is what they have been doing as an attempt to end certain genetic reproductive difficulties that occurred during their wars. These wars and the subsequent radiation prevented them from maintaining their species. They now have reproduced and are in the process of altering many parts of this experimentation. Those new beings who have been created will live apart until they are united into your civilization, when full consciousness is completely restored to it. So basically, the Greys were cut off from further experimentation. They were cut off since 1993. Approximately, when they are fully allowed to return, there'd be approximately 85,000 of them. I'm not sure if these are just like, I think they're just talking about the hybrids, to be honest. And then there would be many difficulties that would occur if they were to return now. This is why they have not been allowed to return to our planet until the entire scenario of a return to full consciousness is completed by Earth humans. So these gray crossbreed offspring are not on the planet. They are somewhere else. And I believe they are on a mothership or several motherships. So people who think, and then Virginia asks, so people who think that they have neighbors who are aliens are incorrect. Washta says, those who you call aliens on this planet are galactic humans brought here as part of a system of checking to make sure that certain things are occurring. These are galactic humans who are very similar in their basic appearance to Earth humans and are existing on your planet to just observe it. Much as a scientist in biology would observe certain species to make sure they are evolving properly. A part of our science is to make sure that all that we see and observe about your planet from above is also happening through personal day-to-day experiences and encounters with humans on your world. I swear this is like what I'm here to do. I swear I'm one of the ones that just is observing. Or I think I'm one that's here to bring, to anchor in higher vibrations, because like my energy is very calming and I'm very aware of that, and I'm very like relaxed, and you would almost think that I'm like a perfect person because I just like don't really create any problems with things. I mean, here and there my ego mind will, you know, want to create problems and stuff because that's my ego mind, but like my true self, I feel like it's just like peaceful, calming energy, to be honest. So Virginia says, yes, thank you. If an Earth human is already judgmental about such things as the sex, race, age, and religion of other people, how can they be guided and helped to accept other beings who are called extraterrestrial? And Washta says, what is occurring on your planet is an immense change in its consciousness. When full consciousness is given to your planet, a vast shift will occur in its realities. Many of the things now held as hardcore issues among many humans, namely religion, race, sex, etc., will no longer be important to them. They will see how all humans are together as one. They will begin to understand these new realities as they interact with humans who are their own species and race, as well as different extraterrestrial species. Through telepathy and other extrasensory faculties, Earth humans will come to understand that their judgments will no longer apply. So Virginia says, have our present worldwide governments accepted your extraterrestrial offers of assistance? Or how do we stand today with the political diplomacy that has to be practiced from your level? Is there any hope that the governments are going to release the truth of what's going on? And Washta says, they are holding onto the truth in a very tight way, and we do not expect them to reveal our influence, except to put it into a scare tactic about some alien invasion of some sort. Isn't this what's literally going on everywhere right now? Like, that's what they're doing with like these projects of like holographic imaging in the sky. Like, no doubt there's a lot of them like 100% real, but a lot of them are like fear-based tactics to like make us feel that we're being invaded by aliens. Washta keeps saying that they certainly do not wish to have others know what is occurring and are attempting to increase the conspiracy of silence that they have put around the topic. Therefore, our diplomacy has been to deal directly with humans on this planet who are light workers and those who deal with the spiritual consciousness of your planet. These light workers will form an erroneous core group who will eventually accept full consciousness and will understand that existing governments were, in spite of their powers, a transitory means to control them through fear and through limiting their abundance. Some 50 billion years ago, your universe's physical creation was begun by the Time Lords under the direction of the Supreme Creative Force, or God. This present creation was the last in a series of 6 creations that have continued from the beginning of time. Each physical creation had its own cycle and its own patterns. This physical creation was done to show how light could transmute darkness to produce an even higher light, which is composed of the highest love. This love will transform your galaxy and raise it towards the Supreme Creative Force and its chief emissaries, the Time Lords. Since you may not have heard of the Time Lords, we will describe them. They are what might be called the divine shepherds of physical creation. When the Supreme Creative Force first began the physical creation, the Time Lords were created, for time is the unit that controls all of physical creation. It is said in the ancient stories of creation that humans first learned in the Vega system that the initial pulse of time created the light of creation, and from it flowed all things that now exist in your physical universe. The Time Lords exist in an infinite number of dimensions, and their task is to regulate and to supervise the physical creation according to divine right action. Actually, the purpose of the Time Lords is twofold in nature. Initially, they had to create the 8 dimensions of physical creation, and secondly, they aided the dimensional spiritual hierarchies in their task of regulating the spiritual energy exchanges between each dimension. It is the task of the spiritual hierarchies to control interdimensional energy transfer by the use of interdimensional gates, or as they are also called, stargates. These gates serve as the flux barriers between dimensions and aid by regulating the energy flow to allow only those sufficient energy exchanges needed to successfully maintain the viability of physical creation. As a part of this divine plan, the Time Lords had to construct the 3rd dimensional galaxy according to the divine plan of the Supreme Creative Force. To accomplish these tasks, the Time Lords were given the creative pulse of time. With this energy tool, all things are possible and can be accomplished according to the divine plan. Okay, so now I'm going to show you guys this photo that's in the book. Oh my god, what page is it? 141? I'm just going to show you the book. Does it? Okay, does it? Screenshot that. If it will focus. Sorry. That's a diagram that I thought was very interesting. So screenshot that. And then also screenshot this one. We're going to talk about the page before this right now. This is the dimensions. So screenshot this. It looks like you can see it. Okay, so screenshot that. Yeah, we're going to talk about the page before that right now. So the page before that was time has so many meanings and many implications in the divine plan. It is the process by which the light of creation is established in the physical universe. Time is also the mechanism that makes possible all the laws and the methods of creation, yet its function varies with its specific needs. Time is all things, and yet it is none. These concepts are portrayed in our galactic science and in our spiritual philosophies about creation. Through this knowledge, we learn that time is a great enigma. Like water on your world, time is said to seek its own level. Our great sages, scientists, mystics, and timekeepers have studied the pulses of time for many millions of years. However, time's true meaning still escapes them. Your scientists and seers have recently begun to discover the wonders of time, for example, quantum mechanics. So far, however, the relationship of time to light, to matter, and to creation has eluded them. The true sciences and philosophies of photon energy will lead you to a new understanding of creation and its infinite cycles. In reality, there is no Big Bang or sudden end to creation. The Time Lords and their dimensional hierarchies simply transmute creation into a new reality, constant, purposeful creation which the divine plan stipulates. It is now important to perceive how these spiritual systems are arranged. So all spiritual systems are organized from the first up to the 8th dimension. Beyond this 8th dimension, there are multitudes of higher spiritual dimensions which deal with the nature of the Godhead, Time Lords, and Archangels. Because we want to focus upon your dimension, we will only say that you have much to learn about these high vibrational dimensions, but as you complete your immediate tasks with dedication, you will naturally advance in the scheme of things. So let us look at these 8 dimensions from your point of view and get a better understanding of how reality is formulated. The first 7 dimensions are each created to express various aspects of the physical creation. The 8th level is the one where all of these lower qualities come from. As mentioned, above this great light of creation at the 8th dimension, there sits the great multitudinous infinite Godhead, the realm of the Time Lords, the Archangels, etc. So let's discuss more about these 7 dimensions. The first through the 3rd dimension are the ones that you're well aware of. Do I write that we talk about it or not? No. I'm not going to talk about it. You can just screenshot that page. I'm almost done. Okay. So Earth's physical structure was created for a divine purpose. This divine purpose was established by the angelics under the great Godhead that was moved through the heart of God into reality. It was done for one purpose, to bring forth a creation of physical light. All Earth humans must understand this process and assume their awakening role. And I'm going to end the video with this 2 or 3 paragraphs. You must not look at planets as merely being 3rd dimensional objects which orbit around a particular star until the time comes when the death of that star brings the planet's life to an end. This action is not the process to be examined. All things in the universe exist for a specific purpose. This particular purpose is one that you must understand and apply if you wish to advance in your consciousness and future galactic roles, even universal ones. Therefore, remember, you are a guardian of light, of love, and of consciousness, and you are a part of this great guardianship triangle of humans, cetaceans, and spiritual hierarchy. Your planet is now on the verge of a new golden age that will lead to a rejuvenation and a welcoming home of Earth humans. It comes so that you can be the galactic creation that God intended. In this discovery, you will coexist in a fantastic relationship with your extraordinary planet and with other guardian species like the cetaceans. And these, I hope I'm saying that word right. In these relationships, you will also work hand in hand with that shining group of angels and ascended masters called the spiritual hierarchy of God. This partnership will ignite your hearts with love and fill your eternity with joy, wherever you may advance. And then, as a fully conscious human of light, as a fully conscious humanity of light, all of you will progress into those unending realms of glory secretly whispered in the recesses of your soul. So that is the end of part 1. Give me like 2 weeks or sooner and I will upload part 2. This is so much information, guys. Just rewatch the video or read the book if you want. If you didn't understand all of that, I know I'm like going really fast, but it's because there's so much information that I have to like spew at once, and if I don't like talk fast, this will be like an hour-long video if it's not already. So let me know what you guys thought of all of that information, and let me know if you agree with any of it.